You must have seen your neighbors cheering over some kind of court game or a small group at the park overexcited over a game with a weird ball sound. What makes this game of pickleball such a hit? How is it played? Welcome back! In today's video, we will discuss everything there is to know about pickleball. Pickleball is a hybrid of ping pong and tennis. It was invented by a group of friends in 1965. After being challenged by one of their sons to make up a game, they began hitting a plastic perforated ball across a badminton net using ping pong paddles. The friends created formal rules for their game, improved their equipment, and taught others to play. In 1984, the game became so popular that the United States Amateur Pickleball Association, the USAPA, was formed, and by 1990, there were pickleballers already in 50 states. By 2021, USA Pickleball had over 50,000 members. We mentioned that it's a hybrid of ping pong and tennis, so the racket is called a paddle, which is right in the middle between the sizes of a tennis racket and a ping pong bat, and the ball is of the same size of a tennis ball, but the material is more like ping pong, like plastic, but a little bit harder and sturdier material. The pickleball court has a blue region that is about 30% of a tennis court and much bigger than a ping pong table, another reason why we think it's a hybrid of ping pong and tennis. The pickleball court is divided into two areas by net, just like tennis, so one is your area and the other is your opponent's area, bounded by a baseline and the sidelines. The bigger area you step in on the court is yours and the bound should be in this area. There's also a kitchen. Kitchen is basically the area where you cannot hit the ball directly, so if you're hitting the ball directly, you should not be standing in the kitchen, otherwise you lose the point. So what are the rules of pickleball? How is it played? Simply put, the rules of pickleball are: the ball must stay in bounds, there should be one bounce per side, serving must be done at the baseline, the serve can't land in the no volley zone, that's the kitchen, and the game ends at 11 or 15 points. But like any sport, there are plenty of nuances, some exceptions to the rules, and some strategies of play that can make some of these rules work to your advantage. There are a few regulations when it comes to serving in pickleball. The most important though is that the serve is done at the baseline, with one foot behind it. Serve will be determined by a coin flip or a random number selection, but traditionally a flip. Additionally, the serve must be done underhand, with the ball held below the waistline and served diagonally to the opposite side. If these rules are broken, it will be counted as a fault and the serve will go to your teammate or directly to the other side if you're playing singles. This zone is anywhere inside of the lined box that is 7 feet from the net. The no volley zone is on both sides of the court. This is often called the kitchen line, and you'll hear players saying, "Stay out of the kitchen," when referring to the no volley zone. The serve will be lost if your ball touches the no volley zone on a serve. Your serve needs to go beyond it. After the serve though, you may drop the ball in the kitchen, called a drop shot. But in general, on the serve, the deeper the better anyways. Just remember that it needs to bounce once on each side before continuing the volley and dropping in the kitchen. Mostly all sports that are played on a field or on a court, the ball must always stay in bounds to be in play. This means that the pickleball has to stay within the white lines on either side of the court when in play. Like ping pong, if you happen to hit the ball out of bounds, you lose your serve and give the ball to the other team. This puts your team at a disadvantage and you might lose the game. However, the bright side is that pickleball requires the ball to bounce during the serve and return, so if the ball goes out on your serve, you have a better chance at net returning your opponent's serve. This rule is what sets pickleball apart from other net sports. Funnily enough, this is also the most forgotten rule. If you let the ball bounce twice on your side, it is returned to the other team. If you serve or return to the other side, it must only bounce once on your side. Your serve will be over if it bounces more than once or goes out of bounds. Basically, let the ball bounce once before you return it to the other side. However, after the ball is returned after a single bounce and is returned after a single bounce by the server to the other side, the two bounce rule is completed, and either side may play the ball in the air or let it bounce moving forward on that turn. Traditionally, pickleball ended at 11 points, but similar to volleyball and tennis, the winning team must win by at least 2 points. So if you're at 11 but the other team gets 10, the game will go on. This means that the next score the game can end at will be 12. Some games go to 15 by default, but they must still win by at least 2 points. The ending score will always be discussed by both teams beforehand. When playing to 11, teams switch sides of the court when the first team hits 6 points. If you play to 21, you'll switch at 8 points. When you're serving and you lose a point, the serve goes to your opponent. No changes in the score. But here's the tricky part. Whenever you're serving and your score is even, let's say 2 points, you start from the right, but if your score is odd, you start from the left. The same thing with your opponent. You need to win 11 points to win the game, and sometimes it can be decided that it will be the best of 3 games, so you need to win 2 games. 11 points per game, get 2 of those, and you're a champion! As we mentioned earlier, it could be 15 points or sometimes 21. But if you're a newbie, start with 11 points and watch the game grow on you. The game is so popular because it's very easy to learn. It's basically the easiest racket sport. Plus, you can put 2 pickleball courts on 1 tennis court, or you could even put 4 pickleball courts on 1 tennis court. So many people can play in a small area. Pickleball is indeed a social sport. It can be played in singles or doubles, with players who may talk and cheer throughout the game. Compared to tennis, which is generally played mostly in silence, with 2 or 4 players, while a group of 16 pickleballers talking and cheering can occupy the same amount of court space, having 4 times the fun. Many tennis courts around the country have been converted into pickleball courts. While this is a source of joyful recreation to some, others do not like the rowdy enthusiasts. Previously, while 2 or 4 tennis players would take to the court to play quietly, a much larger group of overzealous pickleball players can be found in the same place. In addition to the larger, noisier crowds pickleball tends to draw, there are acoustic characteristics of the game that can be annoying to neighbors. Tennis balls and rackets are made of soft materials like rubber, felt, and nylon, but pickleball equipment is made of hard plastic. The softer materials used in tennis create a quieter sound as the ball hits the racket. In general, we tend to find softer, sudden sounds to be more tolerable than louder, sudden sounds. The average noise level coming from a pickleball court is measured around 70 decibels at about 100 feet away from the court. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration prescribes that noise exposure becomes dangerous when an individual is exposed to 90 decibels or greater for 8 hours or more. For comparison, the typical ambient neighborhood noise is about 45 decibels and average conversation is around 60 decibels. So, is pickleball noise dangerous? No. Does pickleball add noise to the environment? Yes, but so does your lawnmower. Pickleballers having a great time do not mind at all, but as for the grouchy neighbors, it depends on who you ask. Thanks for watching this. Have you played your first pickleball game yet? Drop your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you on the next one. Until then, bye!